everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Nazis in America.
Oh, it's fun. Things
American Nazis.
Things are getting piping hot
Oh, it's just...
up in this joint.
Oh, thank goodness. You know, really, just felt like for a long time that the Nazis... Where were all the Nazis?
Yeah,
Where
you
did
know,
they go?
we heard about them some in the 80s and 90s, I remember, but then they
seem to disappear.
They kind of went underground for a bit.
And now they're back.
Oh, they are back, baby, with a vengeance. Oh, they're not even hiding their faces.
Say that because I mean, literally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, bad. We do not support this. In case our position is unclear, and we will be talking further about that later in the show.
Second half of the show.
Later in the show.
Yeah.
But before that,
well, I want to make sure that everybody hears the story of a pastor, Robert Jeffries.
Oh,
Right.
Sure. I think we've talked about that guy.
Yeah, he's from Texas.
As they all are. It's a little known fact. All pastors are from Texas.
He's also one of President Donald Trump's key evangelical Christian advisors.
Well, good. He needs those.
And he has made sure to go out on record saying, quote, God has given Trump authority to take out Kim Jong-un.
Oh, good.
Right?
Good.
That's what we need. Is this lunatic of a president feeling like he really does have
God's...
yeah.
Let me tell you something about this lunatic of a president. He thinks he has God's authority to do any goddamn thing he wants to do.
Already. I know.
What this guy says doesn't make any difference in that respect.
But we need these people maybe
to be
making him doubt a little.
To be a reeling in.
Yeah. No, well, you do have God's authority also to not, lay waste to a small country in Asia.
I think there's a more salient question that Trump doesn't seem to think he has to ask, which is, do you have Congress's authority to do that? Because you need that. Yeah. That's the law.
Yeah.
But God's law.
But he's got the...
I was going to say God's law trumps Congress, but Trump's law trumps Congress. Maybe that's why he's called Trump.
He always has the Trump card.
He is the Trump card.
Oh, he's the Lord's Trump card.
The Lord's Trump card. Oh,
yeah, so that's out there. And so if you were not at all worried about Donald Trump being our president in a time of international crisis,
in the nuclear age,
that is also partly his creation.
Yeah, it's almost entirely of his own making. There was no crisis, and then the tweeting happened.
North Korea is North Korea, and it's a fucked up regime. It sucks. It's there. They've got a petulant leader who's going to get up there and spout all sorts of anti-American stuff. You don't respond to it,
right? Well, because the thing that we know about him, and this was true also of Saddam Hussein, though nobody said it, is that the one thing that they know they could do to ruin the good thing they have going is actually do anything to the United States.
Right.
You don't poke the hornet's nest, you talk shit about the hornet's nest. And as long as you can, and Kim is all he has to do is talk shit, and everybody in his country believes him, and everybody outside of his country knows that he's full of shit, and it's fine.
But then you get Donald Trump, who doesn't understand this arrangement.
Right. The game is just ignore. Yeah. But Donald Trump's not good at just ignore.
No.
He's bad at that game.
So he spouted off.
Although, you mentioned this pastor thing. Did you see the thing? There is a daily, I think it's daily, White House prayer meeting, and Betsy DeVos goes, and
Bible study,
and Rick Perry goes. All these cabinet members go, and whatever. The one person who doesn't go is Donald Trump.
Of course not.
No.
You don't want to. He doesn't need Bible study.
Listen.
He already has the
When
Lord
you believe
on
that
his
you're
side.
one step above God, you don't care about Bible study.
Yeah.
I'll bet he believes in God just so that he can believe he's one step above.
Well, I mean, what hotels and casinos has God ever opened?
Right? Right?
You know, I mean,
Is God... have you seen some of the deals that God's worked out? They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're bad deals.
God's, mail order beef.
It never flew.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't work.
Didn't happen. All right. I got a few things. This one's from here.
Oh.
Dateline, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh.
Beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Something has happened within the Mormon Church that has not happened since the late 80s.
Let's see, late 80s.
89. Okay. And that is that a Mormon general authority, this is one of the highest ups that they got,
Yeah.
was not only released from his calling as a general authority,
Okay.
but was excommunicated from the church.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
no one is saying why.
What did he do?
I don't know. They're not even saying, because the last time this happened, it was a man named George P. Lee, who was of American Indian descent.
Oh, yeah. Oh. I can't
And
remember
he
this,
basically
actually.
called Mormon leaders racists.
Yeah.
Which they were and are.
Right.
And then they...
Well, and he had this whole thing of how he felt like the Native Americans should be the natural leaders of the church or something, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, he had this whole idea that was very contradictory to how the church wants to run itself.
The main job
yeah.
of a Mormon apostle is to toe the party line.
Oh, yeah.
That is your main job.
Yep.
So
fall in line.
So Lee was excommunicated in 89 for, quote, apostasy and other conduct unbecoming a member of the church.
Okay.
Apparently that means calling your leaders out on their own racism.
Yeah. Okay.
However, this elder, James J. Hamula, who was just excommunicated, nobody knows. Nobody's talking yet. We'll hopefully they'll tell us at some point. But yes, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal because because Mormons do not like to admit that there's ever dissension in the ranks. Like once you get into the quorum of the 12 and the quorum of the 70, you're supposed to be gold.
Right.
Jesus chose you for that. So
and Jesus doesn't make mistakes.
God don't make no junk.
Yeah.
So there you go. That happened. That's the thing. Hopefully we'll have some updates.
Okay.
We'll know what he done.
Okay.
What he do. Anyway.
Well, I've got a story.
Oh, good.
Also local. This is actually the Salt Lake Tribune, our local newspaper, along with another organization doing a poll to kind of see where Utah lands with the whole Mike Pence rule. The don't ever be in a room alone or take a meeting alone with a woman
that isn't your wife.
Right. Yeah.
Without her being there.
Or there being a chaperone.
Right.
You can take that meeting, but it has to be chaperoned. They don't call that other person a chaperone. They'll come up with some reason for them to be there.
Right.
But
when you have to call a chaperone on yourself, that's admitting that you are a child. That's what
you're
that
rapey.
is. Yeah,
you're
exactly.
otherwise rapey.
Right. I know that I am not capable of self-control.
Right.
Would you please come to this meeting with me and make sure I don't rape nobody?
Rape or fornicate. Or adulter.
Right. Or if she wants it,
right.
Make sure I don't fuck her.
Right. Because,
Because I might.
Because if she consents, I definitely am.
I'm going to do it.
This will happen.
Here's the thing. I'm not even attracted to her. But if I'm in the room with a set of titties, and they're okay with me fucking them, I'm going in.
Yeah.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I not surprising, I suppose. Utahns, the majority of Utahns say that they think it's inappropriate for a man to have a drink or dinner alone with a woman who is not his spouse, or vice versa, even sort of in like for work.
Wow.
Right. It is a smaller number of people who think that having lunch or riding in a car together or having a business meeting is inappropriate, but nonetheless, it's very large numbers, and it's very strange, and it's very, like you say, childish. It's incredibly immature, and I don't get I kind of like that Mike Pence said his stupid thing, because now we're getting to like look at the country and look at Utah and say,
so wait,
this is a lingering problem. We sort of, I think, we're living in a little bubble for a minute where we thought that we were a lot further along socially than we really were, but it also helps to explain women's continued struggle in the workplace for advancement.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a situation where more than half the men, right, are like really weird and awkward about having meetings with women,
right,
then those women aren't going to be they're not going to be in the mix. They're not going to be having the opportunities in the workplace for the right kind of advancement.
Right. These men are basically saying, I really can't see past a woman being a sexual object.
Right.
Like, she may also have other qualities to her, but first and foremost, like, she might be fuckable. And that's all I really know about her. What's the percentage that you said of Utahns that agree with this?
I don't know that I actually mentioned any percentages, but like somewhere around like 60% of men and women feel like having like a dinner or drink after work. That's work related, though, right?
Even if it's work related,
if it's work related, it's just not okay. Inappropriate. And then, but lunch. What is it, around like 30%?
Okay.
Of men and women feel that it's inappropriate to have a business lunch with one man, one woman. They're there to discuss lunch, and they're like, and this
right.
This
one
is
man, one woman is what marriage is. That's not what lunch is.
But that's like a third. This is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
That's nonsense.
In a lot of ways, these numbers, Utahns are apparently not as many Utahns think that that's inappropriate as like the national numbers. Apparently, I think the national numbers were like up in the 40s.
Yeah.
As far as like the drinks and dinner and that kind of stuff, that one I think Utahns were actually higher than the national average.
It's crazy to me. And it does mean that women are being held back.
Absolutely.
And they're being held back by men. Well, but by both men and women having draconian beliefs about gender relations.
But here's what's really interesting. There was actually an accompanying article in the Tribune that was looking at sort of attitudes at Brigham Young University Business School. Right?
Oh, sure. The most feminist of all of the institutions.
But owned by the Mormon Church. Yes, known for being very conservative. The students there in the classes where these same issues are brought up and discussed, the men, by and large, are the ones who actually have the problem with these scenarios. When the professor was talking to the women, they're actually more willing to go along with like the lunch scenario.
Interesting.
And these are women who are going into business. This poll, of course, is for the population at large.
Right. But of course, women studying business want to be able to have a business lunch with men.
But also not just want to, but see no sort of problem with it. Right. Whereas the men were kind of struggling with this whole because Mormon teaching, it's like, just a generation ago, they were very serious about this men should never be in a room alone with a woman thing.
Right.
I mean, that was a thing.
I feel like there's a second sort of concomitant message here, which is that human beings feel a lot of sexual urges toward each other.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, what this points out is that religion is just a flat-out denial of humanity.
Right.
The things that make us human, we're just going to deny them.
Right.
We're just going to say no to humanity, to being a human.
The ridiculous sexual thoughts that I've had at work in meetings.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just
it just pops into your head.
Yeah, things are just going to be there. Sexuality is a normal, natural part of being a person.
Yeah.
And we just learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
But there you go.
And make sure, I think one of the biggest things about sexuality is to be, and this takes the rapiness away from, I think, our normal human impulses, right? Which is being honest and unrepressed about your sexuality, right?
Yeah.
When you know yourself sexually, I think, I don't know, like I think that must have a way of filtering out a lot of the more sort of impulsive and rapey things.
Oh, don't
you think?
Probably.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not basing that on anything, but it just seems like if you're healthy about sex, if you have a healthy attitude and approach personally about sex,
right,
you're less likely to, try to rape your employee.
If your approach to sex is one of honor my sexuality, but also like have a healthy understanding of what is and isn't appropriate, and also if you can find healthy outlets for your sexuality,
yes, yeah,
then you're not going to have a problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's when you repress it.
Yeah.
All right.
Something ugly comes out.
Yeah.
It's true.
That sounded dirty. I'm gonna do a sad story real quick. I'm just gonna and there's not too much to say about it, but it's news and I wanted it to be out there that in Bloomington, Minnesota, I didn't see this pop up on much, but there was basically a bombing of a mosque. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah, a bomb went off in this mosque. This was about 5 a.m. at the Dar al-Farouk Islamic Center in Bloomington, and according to the FBI, they're searching for suspects after an explosive device, detonated, damaging a room, but not causing any injuries.
Well,
so
okay.
In fairness, we don't know for sure that this is a hate crime. They could have just been against the building.
Maybe that was a bad color.
Yeah,
like they chose bad paint color.
Yeah, it was decorated horribly. This was a congregant. This was an inside job. Oh man. So yeah, that's the thing that's happening here in the United States.
That's terrible, dude.
Is that they're definitely people still hate the Muslims. That's a thing.
Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
That doesn't make any sense at all. That is not the kind of statement. Oh man.
Well, Dan, I feel that story's done.
Well, I am going to say that we don't know. We don't have anyone in custody for this, but it should be noted that this mosque primarily serves the area's Somali community.
Oh,
so there could also,
it's just bullshit.
It could also be a racist thing. It doesn't have to just be an anti-Muslim thing. Yeah. It's got all the things.
Somali, so most likely a large number of refugees.
Yeah,
so it could be an anti-refugee thing.
It could be. It could, in Trump's America.
And once you kind of divide all these things out, it's still just as bad.
It's never,
if not worse.
It's not okay, and it gets not okayer the more you think about it. Don't bomb things. That's one of today's lessons.
Yeah, no, that's a good lesson.
That's a good lesson.
That's one to take home, folks.
Yep.
So Dan,
yeah,
do you like stories about Bigfoot?
Who
We've
doesn't?
really talked a lot about Bigfoot, but interestingly enough, we've talked recently about people's need to like believe in like UFOs and just weird shit, and what have you. So apparently, there's this group in North Carolina called Bigfoot 911, and they will take your calls. If you have a Sasquatch sighting. And they started getting a lot of calls apparently. Or actually, no, they were out investigating and doing some videoing. Maybe after some calls.
Sure.
Because there had been a very definite Sasquatch sighting in the woods in the area. Well, turns out that Gawain McGregor, who's a shaman of sorts, was out in the woods... adorned in raccoon fur.
As you do.
When you're
shamaning
a ritual for Sasquatch. Right.
But he himself was taken.
For
the beast.
They mistook him as the beast because that is what he looked like out in the woods.
He looks like an Ewok in that picture.
So he says, as a practitioner of Enkiduism, the foremost Enkiduism, which is part of Enkidu, right? The foremost sacrament I practice is the wearing of hair-covered animal skins and wandering in the forest. The same way Gilgamesh honored him thousands of years ago. While this may seem unusual, the practice actually dates back to long before Gilgamesh, as images of shaman dressed as animals appear as far back as the Neolithic paintings in France's blah 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 cave. Even today, there are hundreds of shamanistic traditions around the world that involve dressing in a similar way. To join this ancient lineage and to honor Enkidu, I sewed animal hides together, fabricating my own ritual garments. Okay.
So, well, I mean... I'm not surprised to learn that there have been crazy people throughout the ages. It doesn't strike me as being that odd that, like, at every time in history, somebody's found fur and been like, I'm a critter now. I'm going into the forest.
I wonder how many of them write a prayer to Sasquatch.
Well...
Hear me, O Sasquatch, children of Enkidu. In your great mercy, may they walk forever before me, guiding me through the forest and guarding me from every danger that may come.
Enkidu. What is Enkidu? I love it so much. Now I have to I'm going to have to go down some internet rabbit hole.
Yeah.
About Enkidu.
You probably don't want to. Anyway, he says, he basically, he ends up apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, for, I'm not trying to cause a hoax. It was legitimately me. I want everybody at Bigfoot 911 to know that they didn't actually find a Sasquatch.
He's lucky he didn't get shot.
Yeah.
No kidding. You walk around in certain forests in this country wearing all fur. Somebody's going to shoot you.
Well,
I done shot me a Sasquatch.
He definitely doesn't look like an animal that anybody knows.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's just this blob of fur. He's just wandering through the woods. And he doesn't look like Chewbacca. He doesn't really look like an Ewok. You said he looks like an Ewok. Not really.
Well, fine.
He's too tall and he doesn't have those little tooth
okay. Necklaces,
thank you.
Oh Lord Jesus, Sam Squanch. He's
I just love it, but I love that this would cause a big stir. People are calling and freaking out.
Oh my God!
And
I don't want him to get shot, but I would love it if they tranked him. If they were all ready and they see him, they
took him down. Yeah.
He's like, ow, what the Inca don't is what he would yell.
That hurt, Dan.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Hey, you know how I was talking earlier about LDS Mormon general authorities?
Yeah.
I'm reporting now on there was a new document leaked by Mormon Leaks. This is the website that has set itself up so that people inside the Mormon Church can leak stuff out to them.
Absolutely.
And they got a new one.
Okay.
This didn't sound like a big deal at first to me. It's just the Utah Layton Priesthood Leadership Conference, which Layton is just a small sort of town in Utah, and there's not much there. But this was attended by 2 members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. So that's
2 of the Quorum of the 12?
Those are big deal guys. And then two members of the Quorum of the 70. And
this meeting's a huge fucking deal.
It's having
you
those
get one member of the Quorum of the 12, and it's a big fucking deal.
It's a big deal. So anyway, they've leaked the minutes of this meeting, which these general authorities give some talks, and then it turns to a Q&A period. So this is for priesthood leadership on the more local level,
right?
Asking questions of the higher ups.
Okay.
The most important of the importance.
Okay.
And I liked some of the questions and answers that we got. Including a question, when helping individuals who are struggling with pornography, what aspects of that help can we delegate to others? That's an interesting one. First of all, if you're struggling with pornography, get better Wi-Fi. And then you won't have to struggle. It'll just come right to you.
Stop buffering.
Yeah, it'll just, boom. It's just right there. We live in an age when pornography is easy to get. You don't have to struggle.
Right. No, yeah.
Anyway, I thought the answer wasn't as interesting, but I loved the question. How can a bishop help counsel a couple whose husband is entering a realm of agnosticism?
Oh.
You guys, it's about us.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So Elder L. Tom Perry of the Quorum of the 12
L. Tom
fielded the question. That is a real challenge, and thank goodness you are a judge in Israel. Do you hear how these people talk? Oh, my God.
So dumb.
Quote, this is the most insidious thing that could ever happen.
The most
insidious thing that could ever happen.
Okay.
Rape is bad, but a husband falling into agnosticism, that's as bad as it gets. We don't like rape, but really agnosticism's the real problem. Divorce, he says, never solves anything. I beg to differ with you, Elder Perry. Divorce solves a whole list of problems.
Well, for one, you're not married anymore.
Right, indeed. So
solve that problem.
If you don't want to be married anymore, that's the best solution, I would think, to that. Divorce never solves anything, he says. Do anything you can to save a marriage. Hopefully someone in the quorum can step in and help rescue. This is one great reason we need to build the quorums. An elders quorum president and a whole quorum. Now, an elders quorum president would be on a local parish level. It's just all the men over 19.
Yeah.
Anyway, get the quorum to make contact with him. He needs to know the full consequences of divorce, supporting his family. Like, they're assuming that it's funny. Agnosticism in one partner means divorce.
Yeah, because
just automatically.
I mean, we've heard plenty of stories where one partner starts questioning, shares their questions with the other, and then they both go.
Right.
That's where that's the angle.
That's what he's worried about.
Be really worried about.
Yeah, exactly.
Is both are going.
Right. He's like, don't let him divorce, but if she's going to, divorce him quick. Is probably. Oh my goodness! Explain the evils of divorce and how they can. He just focuses in on the divorce. Here's another good one. How do you help a young man or young woman who comes in and says, I think I'm gay?
Oh, boy.
Elder Perry has what may be the most brilliant advice for this on the planet.
Yeah.
See if you can spot what I spotted in this, the problem that I think might be a problem in what he says.
Okay.
It's subtle, so pay attention.
Okay.
Elder Perry says, give them association with manly things, strong men that represent the ideal of relationships, a man who is vigorous and knows the power he holds.
2 problems.
Okay.
1, what a fucking turn on, for the young
Doy!
man, right? And then 2, what about the lesbians? He completely ignores the lesbians.
Well, of course, because gay women are not a problem. Gay men are a problem.
But the question included young men or women.
Right. Well, that is a valid point, but I think you buried the lead on this one. I think the real problem is that the cure for a young gay man is not to show him a bunch of hot, studly guys. I don't think...
Bury the lead.
I don't feel like that's the way to cure a young man of homosexuality.
Total fucking turn on. His description. Read the description again.
Yeah, exactly.
I was feeling a little flummoxed, a little.
You got a little hot under the collar, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hang on.
No, read it again. Read it again, Dan.
Okay. Strong men that represent the ideal of relationships. A man who is vigorous and knows the power he holds.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah. That is exactly it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you are creating gays as you speak.
He turned a few of the men in the room gay.
One of them, at least one guy in the room recrossed his legs at that moment.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Checking out.
That's really funny. Elder Clark, who is a Don R. Clark of the Quorum of the 70. By the way, if you don't have a letter,
Don R.,
you're not a real general authority of the church.
We should start using our letters, Dan.
I've got 2 middle names.
Even better. But how fancy does that sound?
Dan H.M. Beecher.
Yeah.
Elder Daniel H.M. Beecher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you
Frank H. Feldman.
We both have H's.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. Anyway, Elder Clark had another thing to say, if I can find it, about the gays. He said, and this is actually the more LDS Church, like if the LDS Church were going to approve a line of reasoning for public consumption, this is closer to it.
Okay.
Which is, teach them the importance of remaining worthy. If they are worthy, they are acceptable before God, and they should be acceptable before you. Translation, they can be gay,
right?
They just can't bumhole each other. It's okay to be gay in Mormonism as long as you are...
Then it's not okay to be gay.
Shh. Quiet, you. It's okay to be gay, you just can't act on it. You have to be celibate for your whole life or screw ladies.
I don't quite see the point.
No.
To be honest.
It's the point is to remain Mormon, which is self-torture, and you should seek help.
Yeah, no. That point I don't like.
Nope, it's not a good point.
So, no thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have anything that you'd like to add to this discussion, and I'll bet you do, why don't you send it in to us? podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
It's delightful when you do that. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group, but we'll let you in.
We do. That's what we do, eventually.
Oh, Dan.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, do you...
I'm sorry. I'm still just laughing from what we were just talking about. But
yes.
We're moving on. Moving on.
We have fun. Hey, Brian Fisher.
Yeah. Hateful man.
He's a guy that we play sound bites from sometimes, and he has some stuff to say about the gay folk.
Oh. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. We love it when
I'm sure it's something new.
Oh, yeah.
But I just don't know about myself.
That we've never heard. before from a right-wing Christian type.
He brought you this story back when he got suspended. He got in trouble because he wrote a book that expresses our view, a biblical view, of sexuality. He wrote it for a men's Bible study in his own church. And he called homosexuality what it is, a sexual perversion, something that is unclean according to the Scripture. He self-published this book. He gave it to some friends. He even gave it to some of the friends in the fire department. Well, when the word got an openly gay, and this is one of the reasons why, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I believe being a homosexual, being an active homosexual should disqualify you from public office because it's a form of sexual perversion. And remember, we're going to have to choose between the gay agenda and Christianity. We can't have both. It's going to have to be one or the other. Here's a case in point. An active homosexual gets a copy of the book on the city council, says, we got to do something about this, and he goes on a campaign, on a crusade to get this fire chief fired, and he pulled it off. He was fired. He was put on suspension for 30 days, forced to go to re-education camp. I don't know if he did that or not, but the day that his suspension was supposed to be lifted and he was supposed to be freed to go back to work, the mayor fired him. And this is what I mean, ladies, and when I talk about the fact that the homosexual agenda is the single greatest threat to Christianity, to Christian liberty, to religious liberty, and to the First Amendment. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, the homosexual agenda is not just a threat to religious liberty. It is a threat to the entire First Amendment.
You're a threat to the First Amendment.
That's some jaunty music you got going on towards the end there. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. First of all, he clearly has a problem with active homosexuals. So I feel like a lethargic gay person he's totally fine with.
The most sedentary lifestyle.
Just couch potato gays are good.
Yeah.
It's just and let's admit it. If you've been in a gym in the United States anytime recently, you know the gays are active. The active homosexuals are out there.
No. Let's not overly stereotype the whole community here. I know plenty of couch potato gays.
That's true.
They are there. They exist.
That's true. They're not all gym rats.
No, they're just, you don't notice them as much. Right.
You don't notice them as much.
You don't notice their, gym bodies and
their
whatnot.
Bulging biceps and rippling abs.
It's just, you don't.
It's just a guy. Oh, boy. It is a tragedy when the First Amendment doesn't allow you to distribute hate speech.
I know.
In a government job.
I know. Just the worst.
It's terrible.
Also, perverts aren't allowed to be in public office. I just want to go to that one because, I do, of course, have to point out that I don't agree with his assertion that homosexuality is a perversion.
Right.
But the statement that sexual perverts are not fit for public office.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that's basically anybody who's ever been in public office in this country.
I think I would love to ask him, because, yes, if you're saying that homosexuality disqualifies you from, active homosexuality disqualifies you from holding public office, what part of it does that? Because, okay, they do an act that you find icky poo.
Right.
What in that act disqualifies them from public office? I mean, there are lots of people who do stuff that I find distasteful.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that it disqualifies, they're...
The hanging from hooks people.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh.
That's kind of rough. I don't get it. Right?
The ones who have piercings and whatever.
Yeah. And they put a bunch of hooks through their back and then and their arms and legs and
dangle or whatever.
Dangle on a hook. And apparently for them, they really get off.
Right.
From that, right?
And I don't understand that at all.
I don't either. But
what about that would disqualify them from holding public office?
If I found that out about our current mayor, I wouldn't.
It's not an image we want in our heads.
That's not why I would choose to not like her.
Right.
I have other reasons.
There's plenty of reasons not to be a huge fan of her, but that's not one of them. Nor is the fact that she likes women instead of men.
Absolutely not. That's not That's not an issue.
What does anyone's sex life have to do with their ability to enact laws in our country?
I don't like her because of her general incompetence.
Well, there's that. I mean, if that's going to disqualify a person from public office, who are we going to elect? Oh, anyway, we had some folks write into the show. Let's see what they had to say, shall we? Alan wrote in to say, so I'm in church today. Alan's a churchgoer.
Yes, this threw me for a loop.
We had a churchgoer write into us. So I'm in church today listening to a Sunday school lesson on baptisms for the dead. This is a Mormon, by the way. I'm going to interrupt and say.
The time that this came in, yes, I believe it.
He was in church.
He was in church.
Yeah.
He was on his phone sending us this email.
So I'm in church today listening to a Sunday school lesson on baptisms for the dead and thinking about how it is true about how we are such an ancestor cult. I hear everyone talking about how logical it is that we have to baptize everyone, but in my mind, even if we accept the existence of God and Jesus, they wouldn't punish people for eternity because they are a Mormon, because they or a Mormon didn't baptize them. It made sense to me 10 years ago, though, and it just gets more clear as I drift further away. Thanks for the cast. Keep up the good work.
Fantastic, Alan.
Well, yeah, Alan, let us know how that goes.
I
love the idea. I love that we have believers that listen to our show.
Yeah.
And they're welcome to do so. And, I love feedback from them, too. Yeah. Alan, you might be on the path to a darker / lighter world, depending on who you believe. Anyway,
but it sounds like Alan's on a good path.
We will welcome you with open arms if you decide to come into our community, and if you don't, we'll also kind of welcome you with open arms.
I like that he's just thinking about shit.
Yeah, great. We have 2 more emails. Neither of which was signed. So I'm not going to say a name for either of them.
Okay.
First one says, Dear Frank and Dan, thanks much for retracing your steps and fortifying your research on the Israel boycott question. You'll recall that 2 weeks ago we talked about it, and then last week we sort of refined our approach to it.
Perfect.
Your thorough discussion is a testament to your overall commitment to reason and evidence over political histrionics. In fairness, I agree with Dan's point regarding an oversized Israeli standing relative to the U.S. government. As I have just finished reading the memoir of an Israeli ambassador to the U.S. during the Obama administration, titled Ally, I have to admit that even as an American Jew, I was surprised at times by the seemingly continuous high-level access Michael Oren enjoyed both to President Obama and others in the administration. I also have to commend you both for your observation of the insincerity of the evangelical fetishizing of Jews. As a Jew who traveled in evangelical circles for years, I can attest to Frank's newfound favorite word being apt in describing the church's sloppy love for Israel. Shalom to you both.
Fantastic. Cool.
Yeah,
thank you for
those evangelicals. They love the Jews right up until they need to take that Jerusalem back.
Oh, yeah.
Then
it's like, why the fuck are they still here?
Then shush, BB, we need it now. That's for us. And finally, Dan, this one's directed at me, apparently.
Oh.
This is related to our discussion of whether or not there be life on other planets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or elsewhere in the universe.
Okay.
And you'll recall that I said that since we have no direct evidence of that, it would be weird to establish a belief in such a thing.
Yes.
You disagreed.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Dan, I understand you saying that there is no direct evidence for life outside Earth, but science is not a yes/no, black/white. Is not a yes/no or black/white like you seem to be postulating. There is also no direct evidence for wormholes. There used to be no evidence for the Higgs particle, but probabilistically. You would write a word that was that hard to say. We can assert that something does exist / happen based on our observations. So, being that we have a good idea of the scale of the universe and what it takes for life to exist on this planet, we can reasonably assert that there is indeed life elsewhere in the universe due to a statistical likelihood. This does not mean a UFO landed in your backyard. It's just making an assertion based on an observation. You don't have to have direct evidence for something to be considered science. String theory is another good example of something that is not directly measurable but can be mathematically asserted. You can also mathematically assert that if there is life, they would realistically not even know of our existence, since the light from our planet and radio waves haven't come anywhere near even the closest galaxy. So to an outside observer far enough away, Earth is uninhabited or may not exist at all. Fair enough. That's a fair point, that not all belief has to be based on direct evidence, and that sort of probability is a thing.
Yeah. I like it when people write in and say something much more clearly and eloquently than I was able to.
Than either of us have ever been. It's nice when someone makes our points for us much better than we were doing. Will you guys just all do that? Just write into us and tell us what the heck are we talking about? We don't know. Anyway, thanks you guys for writing into us. Do we have any new donors? Anybody we need to thank?
Yes, we do, Dan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but we are largely funded. We are funded mostly by generous donations of you, our listeners.
Yeah.
People go to our Patreon account and decide how much they want to donate per episode, and then they do that generously. So who do we have to thank this week?
Well, we have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 new faithful listeners.
Oh.
We have Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Michael. Thank you. Taru. Thank you very much. And Bart.
Oh, you
Thank
guys.
you to all of you.
Thanks so much.
And then we have 2 new venerable listeners.
And how we venerate you.
Ooh, indeed. We have Leslie and Sky Wrangler.
You really didn't want to say that.
Well, it's part of a full business
of a whole thing.
Of a
Okay.
whole thing.
Well,
and we always just say the first name, so
right.
I'm just going to say Sky Wrangler.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
How we venerate. You lovelies are the winds beneath our wings. And
absolutely.
And who's our Lord and Savior?
Well, we still have 2. James and James.
James and James
as our top dollar donors.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to be count yourself a member of the ranks of these sainted people, you may do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the Patreon tab there on the right-hand side of the page.
Absolutely.
And you may become
join the ranks.
How we will love you. Yeah. In the name of James and of James. Amen.
Amen. Dan.
Oh, Frank.
So you can't. Nobody. Well, I won't even make this. I was going to make a Nazi joke. We're not going to make a Nazi joke. We'll make plenty of Nazi.
We're
jokes.
about to make a bunch of Nazi jokes. Is what's about to happen.
The Nazis are coming, Dan.
1 if by land, 2 if by sea. Yeah. Here's what's happened in these United States, ladies and gentlemen. As you well know, a new lens has been shown on our country.
Yeah.
We had, for a minute there, all of the overt racists seemed to have been successfully marginalized.
Yeah.
Well, they're back. They're scurrying out from under the rocks that we sent them into.
Yeah.
The dark places that we as a society had tried to relegate them to.
I know. And it turns out they all have hipster haircuts.
They are fancy these days.
Have you noticed this, though?
They're not shaving their heads anymore. They're just doing that nice...
They're doing the high and tight.
Yeah.
The long, shaved on the sides.
It works so well.
pushed over.
Oh my God,
it's nice.
So what we're getting at, I mean, you guys know this. There was a thing that happened this weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. There was a big rally of alt-right, white supremacist, white nationalist, whatever you want to call them, Nazis. They were Nazis.
Yeah.
And the evidence of that is that there were swastikas everywhere. There was a preponderance of Nazism. They were holding up their hands in the Sieg Heil thing.
Right.
They had this rally. They had protest signs with messages like, "The Jewish media is going down," and "We support President Donald Trump." Those should not be at the same rally. "We support our president," and also "Fuck to the Jews."
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a big problem. And of course our president did not disavow.
Well, he likes anybody who likes him.
It's his favorite quality in another human being.
Yeah.
Kissing his ass is like the best thing anyone can do.
It gets you somewhere.
So when he came out to denounce it, he denounced the violence on all sides.
Oh my God.
He denounced that there was, he basically made both sides of this equation equivalent.
Yeah. And equally culpable.
Which they're not.
No.
You cannot claim that Nazism is equivalent to anti-Nazism. One is just sort of empirically bad, and the other...
We fought a whole war on this.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, he's already half fossilized. The man is encased partly in rock.
Yeah.
When that man is on the right side of something and our president is on the wrong side of that something, something's gone horribly askew. But he tweeted a thing, and Orrin Hatch tweeted a thing that basically said, "My brother did not fight in World War II against Nazis for a president for our country to be now accepting of these people."
Yeah.
These fine patriots who...
The fact that we have a senator who had a brother who fought in World War II,
right?
I think is also a problem.
Yeah.
But that will save that discussion for another day.
He is 400 years old. There is a portrait of him that looks even
older.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
it looks even worse.
I guess that's a looks thing. I don't know. The man is 1,000,000 years old.
I want to know when these Nazis, because surely they've watched, Indiana Jones movies. What is their take on, like, what's their reading of those movies?
The Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah. Are they rooting? Are they just like, damn that Indy?
He's keeping the Ark of the Covenant from their rightful owners, Hitler and his band of merry men.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is interesting to me. Like, do these guys, do they venerate Hitler? They must.
Yes. They have his haircut.
Oh my God.
And all of his minions' haircut.
And of course,
like that picture that I showed you earlier and said, the guy had sort of the hipster haircut they're all sporting now, right? But he also had a fucking Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
yes.
As I pointed out to you then,
Hitler.
As I pointed out to you then, he could be a Chaplin fan. We don't know. We don't know. We need to be careful about these things.
All right. Do we need to have a moment of serious again?
Well, here's where I wanted to go with this conversation.
This thing is a tragedy.
This thing is a tragedy, and there was and even without any violence, this would have been it's
disgusting.
It's disgusting that this is going on. But I will say this. I am a little bit grateful that space was made for these people to come out of the woodwork, because they were clearly there. They already believed this shit.
Yeah.
And so, like, the fact that that they're now this visible means that we can work on the problem a lot more. Because it clearly
we can all finally agree that there is a massive continuing race problem in this country,
in America. Absolutely.
Racism problem.
And if you don't agree with that, you are just fooling yourself.
Yeah.
It is clear now.
Yeah.
And the fact that one of these guys drove his car into a crowd of anti-Nazi protesters only serves to solidify that fact.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the video?
Oh no, I'm not going to watch that.
I watched a minute of it.
Just of the rally?
Car. No,
of the car. There's video of the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the pictures were already bad enough.
Yeah.
Because people got pictures
of people.
People were in the air.
Yeah, like 5 feet in the air.
Yeah, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
The video is what's amazing is the guy with the camera phone. Immediately after it happens and the car is starting to back up and pull out, he's like, no, like people still hadn't figured it out, and he yells out, "That Nazi just drove." That's not like he's identifying the guy immediately as a Nazi.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was really fucking taken aback by that. That like that was the situation. It's on the tip of his tongue.
Yeah.
And
well, they were
he knew exactly.
They were counter protesting a Nazi rally.
No, I know, but like that's the world that we live in.
Yeah.
That it's just like, oh, that Nazi just drove into this crowd of people.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's not good. Here's where I wanted to take this discussion, because we could talk about the fact that this is largely a Christian movement, or rather, it's a movement of Christians. I know that
you mean just sort of the racist movement.
Yes, these people associate their racist beliefs with their Christianity.
Right.
This is a thing that they link.
Yes.
But that's not what I find more interesting is to discuss where these impulses really come from, because it's just as easy. When you read the Bible, you have to ignore a bunch of it if you want to believe any of it, because everything is contradicted somewhere in that Bible. So you can choose to believe that Bible is about loving everybody and then ignore the racism that's in the Bible. Or you can choose to believe the racism and ignore the Jesus said love everyone part. But you have to ignore one or the other. So what is it that brings people? I feel like I don't know. I'm no psychologist. I don't know what draws people to this, but I feel like there's this sense, it's this interesting tribalism that people glom onto. The sense of, I'm a member of a group, and that's really important. And my group, if I feel like my group is losing ground or under attack or anything like that, I have to fight.
Yeah.
And it's a group that they're arbitrarily in. Nobody chooses the race into which they are born.
Right.
And yet here they are just needing for that group to be important.
Well, and I think, though, just broadly speaking, and not to draw any comparisons, but groups in general do suffer from this kind of thinking.
This is where I'm going. I feel like this happens in religions, too. Yeah. Some people choose their religions, but often you're born into your religion as well.
I think it's a lot of
indoctrinated into it.
Because you were. I was born white. I'm not a racist, right? You are getting into a white racist group, right?
Yeah,
you are choosing to opt into that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and I'm sure that the same sensations and thoughts and everything that anybody has when they're joining a group, they're changing their life. They're excited about it, and I finally just saw this. What's wrong with everybody else? And they can't see that eating meat is wrong, right? To take it to this group over here, which is a good group, right?
I guess
vegetarians,
sure,
fine, right? That they're not out killing people,
right?
I'm not trying to draw a comparison, but if you're a new vegetarian, you're super stoked about it.
Right.
If you're a new racist, you're going to be super stoked about it.
Well, that's interesting.
Right.
I think that there may be something
there's
to that.
This excitement, and you think that I'm part of a movement, and soon everybody's going to be thinking like me, and right.
Well, maybe. I mean,
I think
I did read that quote to you. Let me find it. There's a quote from one of the attendees at this rally who said,
and I suppose there's probably there might be some vegetarian white supremacists too. So there might be some crossover there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not comparing vegetarians with white supremacists.
Ugh.
But the two groups are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
No, they're not. No, absolutely not. They're trying to purify the white race by not infecting it with beef. I can't find the quote. Anyway, but it basically said that they saw this as a what's the term? As a civil rights issue.
Civil rights.
They basically said that they saw this as a civil rights issue.
They see it as a movement. They see it as a growing movement.
Well, their
numbers, their people are coming out of the woodwork. They're joining forces in ways that they've never done before, and they're feeling emboldened, especially because we have this dingbat president who won't fucking denounce them.
Right. Exactly. Here's the line that I was drawing, maybe, and that is that when people feel under attack, when they're able to say, I'm part of this group and this group is in trouble and I need to defend us, it gives them purpose. It gives them a mission. It gives them a sense of meaning in their lives. And I think that religion does that. Like religion basically, like you think of the number of Christians that we've heard say, Christianity's under attack. Christianity's blah blah blah. We're the minority. And it's obviously nonsense. 80% of this country is Christian, and yet they're the ones who are saying we're the ones that are under attack. We're the ones that are in trouble. Mormonism loves its status as martyrs on the cross.
Oh my God.
They are the persecutedest group in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even a Broadway show about them, for God's sake, making fun of them. Did you see, by the way, the Book of Mormon, the musical just came through town.
Yeah.
And there was somebody wrote a letter to the editor calling it the Mormon Kristallnacht.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think that was an apt comparison.
No, I don't think satire counts. I don't think you can compare satire, mean satire though it may be, to the beginning of a Holocaust. I don't think that those are exactly equivalent.
Yeah.
So,
Dan, there's another thing. Are you finished with your
Sure.
thought?
Well, go on.
No, there's just another thing that was sort of on my mind, and it's, I think about atheism, and I think about, the fact that sort of the brand of atheism that you and I are products of, really, is sort of the fact that this new atheist movement that's happening in the United States and elsewhere in the world right now is coming out of sort of a tradition of Western liberalism.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I think largely, that's a safe thing to say.
I don't think that everybody who's an atheist is coming out of liberalism.
No.
But we definitely did and are, part of that whole thing. Which means we're also already primed for inclusiveness and basic humanist concepts. Right.
The idea,
which you could definitely accuse me of being a little bit of a humanist.
The idea that all people are have the same rights and deserve the same
we're against sexism, racism, homophobia,
right,
classist systems, so forth and so on, right? Like all of this, all that kind of stuff. So our atheism sort of exists in that world, and I don't know that enough of us have maybe processed that that's not the only way that you can be an atheist, right? and that maybe we need to be a little bit watchful of racism and sexism and so forth and so on within our own ranks.
It's important. I think you've really hit the nail on the head. We are not, as a group, immune to these foibles, to these problems. There are plenty of sexists and plenty of racists in our ranks.
We need to make sure we're shouting that down.
Yeah, we need to make sure that that we as a group understand that acceptance of all human beings is primary.
Yes.
It is absolutely what we need to be about. Yeah. I've actually talked to people who were racist who have self-examined and gotten through it.
Oh, yeah.
And accepted all people as equals.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can encourage that behavior rather than just leaving it at shaming bad thought and bad behavior.
Right.
There's also, I mean, if there is a group on this earth that could be qualified to encourage careful thought and introspection, surely it is ours. Because our group is full of people, it's not exclusively this, but full of people who were indoctrinated into belief systems, various belief systems, and had to genuinely go into themselves and examine them and ask themselves the hard questions about those beliefs.
Right.
I think that may be our calling as a group, is to go out into the world and find people who have backward beliefs, who have belief systems that are detrimental to humanity.
Right.
And say, you know what? Maybe now is a time for deeper thought and for more strict self confrontation.
We need the atheist missionaries.
Yeah.
Go door to door.
And you know what? The atheist missionaries can say, I don't care if you become an atheist at the end of our discussion.
Right.
But I do care if you leave our discussions not self-examining.
Right.
Because all we need to do is ask people, because honestly, I'm really okay with believers who are honest with themselves. Like, you know, I don't have all the answers.
Well, believers who are honest with themselves may or may not think themselves out of the thing.
Right.
You know,
many of them do.
Some stay.
That's what happened to us.
Right.
But some of them stay.
Right.
And as long as they're being honest and as long as they're accepting and loving of humanity, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But that should be our goal. Our goal should not be to make more atheists. It should just be to encourage humanity in humans. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a T-shirt right there. Encourage humanity in humans. I like it.
Wow.
All right. That's a Dan Beecher original right there.
All right.
I'm calling it.
Sounds good.
Did I ruin it by calling it out like that? Does that ruin it?
Yeah, it sullied it. You turned it into a financial opportunity.
Yeah, well, you guys, when you wear the T-shirt, just don't tell them about how I acted when I came up with it, and then we'll all be okay.
Whatever. All right. Well, if you have anything to add to our conversation,
and
about
I think you might,
racism in America.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about this stuff. Maybe there are some psychologists out there who can give us more insight onto why these 20-something-year-old men are all so freaked out about their race.
It's the haircut.
It's the haircut. It's not good for you. Grow your hair out, ladies and fellas.
It wasn't good for the hipsters. It's not good for the...
We're also not, just as a public service, we're not doing the long beards anymore. You can trim those back. It's okay. We're not doing that anymore. Anyway, if you have something you'd like to say to us, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, we love to hear your voice. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and see what Mackenzie's up to.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group, but we'll let you in.
Speaking of which, thank you, Mackenzie, for all of your hard work. And also thank you to to Danny and to Sarah and to Amy for all of their hard work moderating the Members Only Lounge. That's awful sweet of them.
And thank you to the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
Yeah, and thanks to you, dear listener, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it when you do.
Bye!